Wow, I can't believe that took so little time with AI. Hello and welcome back to AI Plus More, your source for everything AI related and beyond. Today we have a really powerful tool for you. You already saw the title. It's Adobe Firefly. It's an AI image generation directly from Adobe. So let's get right into it. We're here at the Adobe website. You can access it through the link in the description, and you're gonna click on Explore Firefly Beta. After you sign in, you have the option of joining the Discord, and then you'll be able to choose one of the different options. Let's start with text to image. Whenever you click on text to image, you'll see the gallery that Adobe offers of what has been AI generated. We'll talk about the prompt guidelines in just a second when we first start to generate. So here at the bottom, we have the text box, and we can type something like, it took about 10 seconds to load, and we can change the aspect ratio if we want. 1:1 is what usually is used on Instagram. Widescreen is good for YouTube. Landscape and portrait are also pretty much useless. Try out widescreen and see how long that takes. Okay, those are all pretty great quality. You can see here they have different interpretations of it and different sizes of the character versus the size of the tree. I like this one a lot more. It's the one that looks the most anatomically correct. Of course, we can change more things in the styles here. Of course, you can click on all and see all of them, but you can filter by different concepts. Something that's very important, very short prompts will not work on Firefly, or at least it'll suggest you to get a longer description. Also, unlike Midjourney and DALL-E and other types of AI generators, artist names are not really useful because the AI was trained on Adobe stock footage, so it doesn't really know any artist name. So keep that in mind when you select things. It is far more important to talk about the content type, whether you want a photography, digital art, the style, which you can select here on the right, the color or tone, the lighting, and the composition. Let's try the chaotic concept, see what that gives us. You can see based on what we first suggested, art is already there as our content type. We can change this to photo and see what that comes up with. Of course, as you know, this is amazing for marketing. This is great for storyboards for creating movies, but it could also be flyers for anything that you look for. And we'll go ahead and try something more marketing intended in just a second. That is really good, and they definitely, though it looks trippy, it's definitely more photorealistic. Let's try out changing the color and tone to something cooler. And the lighting, let's try out golden hour. That'll change definitely the sky and maybe get rid of our moon. That's great. It definitely didn't delete the moon, but it made it that last time of the afternoon. We can at any point download. You click this disclaimer promoting the transparency of AI, and just know that whenever you download it, anytime that you check the copyright for it, Firefly will be instilled in the metadata for that photo. So that is great. Let's see it bigger size. Let's go ahead and try one more example before we move on to other types of creation. Let's say, and we can add a style that could be this topic. See what that comes up with. That's great. You can see that two of these look like a female character, or maybe three, and one of them is not. I like this. Let's change the composition a little bit, and let's try out shot from above and see how that looks. Let's also change it to dramatic lighting. It definitely shows more soldiers, but it doesn't look shot from above, or at least our character is looking more from above, like it's from the horizon, like it's standing on a hill. Let's try out a close-up. That's great. Let's try out the photo type to see what that would look like, what differences it would bring. Okay, that's great. You can see it struggled with this face a little bit, but this is a lot more realistic. All right, then let's move on to generative fill, another amazing function of Firefly. All right, so I uploaded this stock photo. We're gonna go ahead and select this over here and type in, let's see how it handles real people related to the rest of the image, making sure it's in black and white, see what that comes up with. That's pretty good. It gives us 3 of them, so this looks really realistic. It's kind of spooky. So I like this one the most. So let's keep this. Maybe let's go with, if we select this section, we could add maybe a painting. I think that would be interesting what it would do. Okay, that's great. Let's see what the other options are. I like that a lot more. And that doesn't really follow our black and white photo. So let's go with the second one and keep that. Of course, we could select something and not give it a prompt and see what that comes up with. If you click here on the filters, you can change the guidance strength of your prompt, making it more original, closer to your prompt. Also changing the level of preserving the content and match the shape of your selection. Of course, we are clicking on freeform because we don't mind if it extends just a little bit or it does something a little smaller than what we selected. Okay, so the 3 options ended up being removing the frame. Let's keep that. Lastly, let's give her something else to wear to see how that works. Let's write in small jacket. Okay, it gave us 3 options. See what that... I don't particularly like any of the ones that were suggested, so I'm gonna click on more and see what that comes up with. Maybe my selection was a little far off to the left and it's doing something more flamboyant about the jacket. Yeah, you can see here. But these are definitely better than the last one. That is really good and so well adapted to the anatomy of the photo. So let's keep that. And now let's move on to the next feature of Firefly. Let's go on to text effects and see what we can do there. You can see some of the examples suggested here. The text that we will do is happy birthday, and we'll do it slimy like a monster. I didn't suggest any colors. I didn't suggest much of the texture, but it definitely took more of monster than slimy. There's 4 suggestions. You can of course download this and it'll be as a vector, so you can input it into Adobe Premiere or Photoshop. So it's very tentacly like a monster. Let's try out something completely different. We can type in AI plus more and change the style to tech, metal, space, stars. Okay, so it definitely made it more science fiction-y. Let's see what happens if we delete space and stars and just do tech and metal. That's great. It looks a little bit more old-timey than innovative. But let's change up a little bit of the matching shape options to make it more loose. Maybe changing the font to the Sportis. And lastly, I'm going to change the background color to black. This is a lot more what I was looking for. So let's try out a circuit board and see what that comes up with. To make it sharper, let's go ahead and click on tight to match the shape. And you can see here that it gives us a lot of sample prompts like flowers, bread toes, a balloon. Let's see a few more. Let's go with orange to see what that looks like. Okay, that's fruity and a little bit more ridiculous. So let's move on to the next feature. Let's go to generative recolor. This is the last option that is available. All the other ones are still in beta mode. We'll click on generate over here. All right, so we're uploading this SVG file and we can change the color palette. Let's try out sepia. You can see our original is right over here. This is amazing for vector images, so keep that in mind. And of course we have some sample prompts like trippy disco lights. Let's try that one out. So that's really useful if you're a graphic designer or you're working with a graphic designer. If you get the SVG file, you can do all the changes for your marketing depending on the kind of use that you're giving the vector image. Say if you're doing a thematic party and you want to show your logo and maybe you want to change it out a bit, and you can change it based on whatever is surrounding it. I clicked on this lavender storm. Let's try out a few more. During all of this, the preserve black and white was toggled on. So let's try out what it would happen if I turn that off, just to see how much it changes. So that's our comprehensive tutorial on the main features available right now on Firefly. Here, AI Plus More, stay creative.